Thank you. Wow. Thank you very much. Hello, Newport News. I know it well. I know it well. I know it well. You know, my father and I had a couple of little jobs here, and they were great. When the ships came in, they were packed. When the ships went out, they were stone cold empty. I said, this is a different kind of a place. But we loved it, and it's a great place, and I'm thrilled to be back in the Commonwealth of Virginia with the thousands of loyal, hardworking American patriots. And I also want to thank the great people of North Carolina. Who's here from North Carolina? Not bad, it's a little area there. 39 days from now, we're going to win Virginia. We're going to win North Carolina. We're going to win 4 more years in the White House and keep doing what we've been doing, because it's never been anything quite like it. This is the most important election in the history of our country. One of the biggest issues for the people of Virginia is your Second Amendment. And if Sleepy Joe Biden wins, your Second Amendment will be eliminated and your firearms will be confiscated, whether you like it or not. When asked if a Biden administration was coming after your guns, Biden replied yes. That's all he had to say, yes. He promised to put the gun grabber, Beto O'Rourke, you know Beto. Remember Beto? He was on the cover of a third-rate magazine, and he said, I was born to run for president. That was the end of his run. That's when it ended. Anytime they say they were born to do it, they got problems. That didn't work out. It was a steep drop. But he put Beto in charge of his assault on your guns. And you know what happened with Beto? Beto went crazy. He wants to take your guns away. Biden vows to impose punishing taxes on gun owners, outlaw many of the most popular firearms in America, create a national gun registry, and wage the most aggressive war on gun rights in U.S. history. Biden will disarm law-abiding Americans. At the same time, they'll have riots down your street, and that's just fine. That's okay. That's okay, according to the left wing. Only by voting for me can you save your country and can you save your Second Amendment. So I was told not to go for Virginia. We did really well last time, and I never came, I never did anything, and we did really well. I said, why didn't I go for Virginia? But it's traditionally not a Republican state over the last number of decades. And I said, why not? You have a crazy governor, and every time I see it, every 2 weeks he's trying to take your guns away, right? And he'll attack constantly, right to life. And you know, he's so far left, he doesn't even talk about late term. He talks about after the baby was born, which is the first time I ever heard of that. You hear late term, but he said, and after the baby is born, we'll start talking to mother. In other words, he's talking about execution of the baby, execution. You have a governor that thinks he's Michael Jackson. Remember, his wife saved him. Remember, he wanted to prove that he was just dressed up like Michael Jackson, and that he sometimes thought when he was young that he resembled Michael Jackson. I don't think so. And you remember he wanted to moonwalk across the stage, and his wife said, no, don't do it, darling. Don't, please, darling. Nobody moonwalks like Michael. That would have been good. I wish I could have seen that. That would not have been pretty. So based on your governor, and based on the fact that he's always, every month you're fighting for guns. If I'm not here, your Second Amendment is gone. And I'm talking about all over the country. Forget about just Virginia. So I said, let's give Virginia a shot. We're nearby. Right? We're nearby. I even said we'll bring in the heavy artillery. We'll bring in our great Vice President, Mike Pence. Did he do a good job? I'll tell you what, Kamala is no Mike Pence. She's no Mike Pence. No, he's great. He's done a fantastic job, and he's with you all the way. So I said, let's give it a shot. And, you know, there's a big difference. I tell you what, there's never been a bigger difference between candidates or parties. Never been. No party that supports, as an example, what he would do to a child after it was born is fit to be even involved in any way in this nation, let alone running this nation. As you know, Sleepy Joe Biden endorsed your governor. So that means he endorsed the policy of your governor. That means he endorsed breaking up your Second Amendment. So it'll either be totally broken up or it will be, you know, wiped out. Essentially, it won't be that much different. So here we are in Virginia, like I had nothing to do today. I woke up at 6 in the morning. I read some papers. Oh, I read the fake news. And then I was in Florida early in the morning, and then I went to Florida, and we did a big round table with the Hispanics. They were great. And then we flew to Atlanta from Florida, Palm Beach, and then we started off in all different places. We were all. And then we went to Miami. We started off. But I'll tell you what, Florida's great. We're going to win Florida. We're way up in Florida. Way up. Way up. Even a poll that gave me, I mean, I've never had a good number. ABC, Washington Post poll. It's a terrible poll. Always been bad. I think it got everything wrong 4 years ago. They said I'm 4 up or more, but I'm 4 up in the state of Florida. So anyway, so we went to Miami, went to a beautiful place actually in Miami. You know where that is, right? And we had, I won't say because then they'll say I'm advertising if I do that, the fake news. So I won't say the name of the place, but it is beautiful. And then what happened is we went to Atlanta, and we left the great Hispanics. We call them the Latinos for Trump. Latinos. Where we are polling at numbers that I guess no Republican has ever polled before, perhaps Abraham Lincoln, but in those days he wasn't big into the Hispanic movement, I think. Abraham had other things to think about, don't we think? But I will say this. Nobody has done more for many communities, but I always say for the black community, nobody has done more for the black community than Donald Trump since Abraham Lincoln. Nobody. So we flew to Atlanta and we had an unbelievable 2 hours. And this was with the African-American community, the black community. I always say, what do you like better? Tell me what you like better. They say usually the black community. And what is the answer? Tell me, African-American. I'm not listening. I don't want to hear from other people. I want to hear African-American. What do you like better, African-American or black community? It's black. Yeah, that's what we hear. I'll go with whatever you want. That's your choice. We can use either one. I'll go with whatever you want. We had a great 2 hours. Credible people. Herschel Walker introduced me. Serious guy. We had a lot of champion fighters, a lot of great people. It was an amazing time. And then we flew to Washington, where we had a round table. And then I say, well, that's it for the night, right? You know, this starts at 6 in the morning. So I said, that's it for the night. Is that it? I'll go back home to the White House. No, sir. Well, I wonder what. You're going to Virginia, sir. Oh, good. Oh, that's good. Thank you very much. This was like, I asked a question about an hour ago. Where am I going now? Put me in, coach. You ever hear the expression? Just wind me up and put me in, Coach. I said, where are we going tonight? I said, let's go back to the White House. Let's see our First Lady. And they said, no, sir, you have a rally scheduled. You have a rally scheduled. Where is it? In Virginia. I said, oh, that's good. How many people? They said, a hell of a lot of people. That's Well, I wouldn't. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. When you have rallies like this, you don't forget them. You don't forget them. Thank you. Go ahead. What the hell? No. So we're going to put a heavy play in for Virginia. Seriously, we're going to put a heavy play in Virginia. And I think we can win the state. Man, that crowd is big. Look at that. It goes way back to the hangar. That is a big crowd. That's big. You know, I always tell the cameras, I don't want to bore people with this, but I implore them, turn the cameras around and show them the size of this crowd. It goes back to the building. But they never like doing it because they don't like, including Fox, they don't like showing big crowds. You know, they don't like showing big crowds. We left Ohio. We're way up in Ohio. Way up in Ohio. We're way up in Georgia. We were in Georgia today, though, with the governor and the senator, Senator Perdue. And we were, you know, Representative Doug Collins, great guy. Kelly Loeffler, great person, senator. And Senator Perdue, and I said, how are we doing? They said, you're winning by a lot in Georgia. You're winning by a lot. Of course, if you see these people, they'll say, he's pretty close in Georgia. Too close to call. And then we have election night comes. The polls in Georgia are closed. Donald Trump has won the state of Georgia. You know, you only win if you're up by like a lot. If you're up by a lot, they announce it immediately. That was what happened with Texas last time. They said Texas is too close to call. All for months and months and months. The only one that didn't believe that were the people in Texas. So when it closed, they said the polls in Texas are closed. Donald Trump has won the state, like in the same breath. Nah, we're doing great in Texas. We're doing great all over the place. We're doing great all over. I hear we're up in New Hampshire, which is great. Last time that one got taken away from us with people that just came in with buses all over the place. They had buses coming up from Massachusetts. You have the rhino governor. You know the rhino governor of Massachusetts, right? Baker. He's a rhino, but I guess he does whatever he can to get elected. The Democrat Party is now run by socialists and Marxists who want to destroy our laws, our values, and want to destroy your way of life. To uphold our Constitution as written tomorrow, I will be announcing my nominee to the United States Supreme Court. Fill that seat. Oh, we're going to fill it. Don't worry about it. And the Republicans have been very unified. You see that? Very unified. Even a couple of people that normally don't vote with us. You know, they usually don't vote with the Republicans, but they are. And we have tremendous unity in the party. Mitch is doing a good job. Kevin is doing a good job. We're going to take over the House. We're going to take back the House. People are tired of crazy Nancy. They're tired. We want to get some stimulus out. She doesn't want to give it. She just does only for political reasons. Not your fault. You know whose fault it is? China's fault. That's whose fault it is. That's whose fault it is. But, you know, it's an amazing thing because the Democrats are saying, well, it's the end of a term. And because, you know, we have a lot of time left. Think of this. If it were them, don't forget, we don't have to do it by the election, but we should be really able. That would be a great victory. Going into the election with that biggest of all victories. You know, they say the biggest thing you can do is the appointment of judges, but especially the appointment of Supreme Court justices. That's the single biggest thing a president can do. Because it sets the tone of the country for 40 years, 50 years, I mean, a long time. So we're going to be announcing somebody great. I just think that, I just watched. The great thing about Air Force One, there are more televisions on that plane than any plane. They got them in every room, and you open up for a closet. You want a shirt. Let me know, there's a television. And I'm watching the Democrats saying how terrible it is that we're appointing. We have the right. We won the election, right? That we have the right. We won the election. And we have a lot of time. And if they were in opposition, they would do the same thing. Maybe they would just do it more rapidly, okay? More rapidly. Now, so tomorrow I think is going to be a big day. 5 o'clock tomorrow at the White House. We're going to be naming the nominee. Hopefully we'll be on that court for 50 years. 50. 50 years. Be on there for 50 years. The only thing I can tell you for sure is it will be a woman. Is that okay? Does anybody have any objections to that? Please raise your hand. A lot of cowards out there. Look at you men. I don't see how. There's not one man here that has the guts to raise your hand. Not one. If given the power, the radical left will pack the Supreme Court with extremists who will strike the words "under God" from the Pledge of Allegiance as they did twice. I heard their Pledge of Allegiance. They had it in their caucus. I'm watching. I said, oh, they made a mistake. I said to the First Lady, darling, they made a mistake. They left the words "under God" out. And then I heard it a second time, and they made the same mistake. I said, this is strange. This is like the guys on the Mueller team that cleaned their phones, right? 31 phones. And they said, oh, we made a mistake. And they all made the exact same mistake. The odds of that are 1,000,000,000 to 1, right? They all made, oh, they got caught. Did you see what's going on? Oh, they got caught. Gee, I feel sorry. That's a shame. Yeah, they should be. I'll tell you, they should be. They're crooked people. They're crooked people. So they cleaned up their phones. Hillary took her phones and smashed them. She took 33,000 emails and deleted them after Congress requested them. And I think they're looking at that, too. I think so. I think. Can you imagine? I have a friend. He's a very smart, rich guy, made a lot of money, but he's a very streetwise guy. He said, you've been under investigation by these thieves, and they're smart. They just weren't smart when they all used the same exact method to clean their phone. That wasn't smart. At least put it a little bit there. 31 different phones. Like, what is it, 21 people, 31 phones. But that's okay. That's okay. That's only illegal. But this friend of mine said, they've gone through everything. They've gone through your taxes. They've gone through your financials. They've gone through everything. You have to be the most honest guy in the world. And they come up, no collusion. Oh, they want it. If they found anything. Now, it's a bad group of people headed by Robert Mueller. Bad group of people. Who wanted the job at the FBI, but he lied to Congress. He said he didn't say that, but he did. I mean, he did. We have all the proof. So he is in the same group, but they're actually in worse shape. Because at least with Mueller, you can say he probably didn't know what the hell he was doing. Sort of like Joe Biden. I figure about the same. Does that make sense? Does anybody understand? How would you like to, you're getting a divorce or something, and you say, I got to be represented by Bob Mueller. Do you think so? You saw his performance in Congress, right? I want to be represented by Bob Mueller. No, it's the same thing. How can we have Joe Biden representing this country? And he's on the lid. You know the lid, right? The lid is when they say, we're going to put a lid on it. So I guess it means probably what it's supposed to. I have no idea. Lid. It's a lid. But it's an expression. And every day, early in the morning, they say, Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe, he's put a lid on it. Sir, Biden has put a lid on it. What does that mean? That means he's not working today. This guy takes more days off. You have to have a president that's going to work his ass off for this country. You need energy. You need a very energetic president. They said, how do you think he's going to do in the debate? I think good. He's been doing it for 47 years. I think he's going to do good, I think. And one thing we know, if he does just okay, they're going to say, the fake news, they're going to say it was the single greatest debate performance in history. It was unbelievable. Far better than Winston Churchill in his prime. Winston Churchill was nothing compared to Sleepy Joe. So you know that if he finishes the debate, which I think he will, and he might even do well, but if he does well, they're going to say it's the greatest debate, and they have it already written. They have a couple of scenarios. If he does really poorly, they're going to say he wasn't bad. He wasn't bad. If he does modestly well, like he did against Bernie, they were sort of even. If he does like that, they'll say it was the greatest performance in history. But with your vote, I will preserve our Constitution and ensure law and order. Joe Biden is weak. He surrendered his party to the flag burners, the rioters, the anti-police anarchists, the radicals. All these guys running around these Democrat-run cities and states. Look at it, 10 out of 10. We could fix up Portland so fast, they have to invite us in. I want to be invited into that one. We would fix that like we did Minneapolis. We would fix that up in less than a half an hour. Remember Minneapolis, they were right. I mean, the problem is they invited us in about 2 weeks. By the time they invited, there was a lot of flames behind them. Remember the reporter, he's standing there? This is a peaceful protest. And behind him, you have like blocks that look like Berlin during the war, didn't it? I never saw anything. This is the craziest thing. It's a peaceful performance. But what we did, we said it's a peaceful protest, and we don't call these rallies anymore. Because in Dem states, like where you have a governor who's a Democrat, you're not allowed to go to church, you're not allowed to go to a restaurant, you're not allowed to go to your friend's house. You can't move from your house unless you're related to the governor, then you can do whatever the hell you want. You can't do anything. You can't do anything unless, of course, it's a peaceful protest. Okay? And so what we do is we call these peaceful protests, and we're getting big crowds, 25, 30,000, 35,000. There's more enthusiasm now than there was 4 years ago because we've done a good job, right? There's more now. Now we have more enthusiasm now than we did. You know, it's interesting. Don't forget, 4 years ago, I did a nice job. I was successful, had a great television show, The Apprentice. It was great. People got to know me a little bit. I said, let me run from the time, the first hour that we came down the escalator. First lady and I down the escalator, her with a white dress, right? Very famous escalator right now. People go take pictures of the escalator. But we came down the escalator. We were in first place, right? We never went. I never left center stage, right? And that's based on poll numbers, if you're the #1 poller. And I said, look, I want an odd number. I don't want an even number. Because I said, what are you talking? I said, because that means 2 people are in center, and that's not fair. So I want an odd number. We were on center stage. But we've done a good job. What happened is I said I was going to cut your taxes. We gave you the biggest tax decrease in history, right? I said I was going to cut regulations, and we were going to have an incredible economy, and regulations were probably even more important than the tax cuts, okay? You want to know the truth. You ask the business people, the great ones, they will tell you if they had a choice, they'll take the regulation cuts. And we still have a ways to go with that. But we did that. We rebuilt your military. We added Space Force. I mean, what we've done is far more. Right to try. How about right to try? I never talked about that. I never talked about that. We knocked out 100% of the ISIS caliphate, right? We achieved energy independence, and we've done it while protecting our very pristine environment, by the way. And earlier this month, oh, you're going to be so happy, Virginia and North Carolina, come on, North Carolina, you're going to be so happy. You're going to be cheering like crazy because I think you like this. But About a month ago, I signed an order prohibiting offshore drilling on the Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina coasts, right? Right? And because I happen to like this state a lot, I said, what about Virginia? What about North Carolina? And somebody said, I don't know. I don't know if they like it. I said, I think they like it. So I'm extending the moratorium to North Carolina and Virginia. Okay. And if you want to have oil rigs out there, just let me know. We'll take it off. I mean, you know, I can understand that too. I can understand that too, but I think you want it. So we're extending it to Virginia. We're extending it to North Carolina up the coast, and we're not going to have any problems like can be had. All right? So I think you like that. If you don't like it, you're going to let me know. I'm going to change it. I can change things very easily. We built the greatest economy in the history of the world, and now we're quickly doing it again. So I did all of these things. And in doing all of these things, you said the second time, well, now, this is actually a much easier campaign in a way. I mean, the only problem is I've been tarred with this horrible witch hunt for 4 years, and I didn't do it. Now think of it. What would my numbers be if I didn't go through almost 4 years of a Russian witch hunt that turned out to be just the opposite? They were the ones that were involved with Russia. It was a whole big disinformation campaign. Now, what would my numbers be with all that we've done? And if you didn't hear night after night on fake news, CNN and MSDNC, and the New York Times and the Washington Post, and now it's turning out, not turning out, it's done. Because if you look at everything that's come out over the last few days, it's we caught them. They've been caught. They spied on my campaign, and they tried for a coup. Can you believe it in this day and age? And we caught them cold. So what would our numbers be? Our numbers, not my numbers. What would our numbers be if every night, every morning, every day, they were saying Russia, Russia, Russia? It turned out to be a total hoax. In fact, Biden's son, it was just revealed 2 days ago, got $3.5 million from the wife of the mayor of Moscow. Think of it. So, but I really think about that. What would be on it? We did all these incredible things with the economy, with everything. Then we got hit with this virus from China. They should never have let it happen. We won't forget it. And we closed up. We saved millions of lives. Now we've opened it. We're opening to records. But what would our popularity be if every day for almost 4 years you didn't hear any of this bullshit? Okay? What would it be? True. It's true. What would they be? With all we've done, I think that would be very nice. The Democrats would say, yes, if you'd like, we could cancel the election because we have no chance. But you know what? Hopefully, they have no chance anyway, and hopefully you're going to remember what I just said. Because we were unjustly treated, unjustly accused by a bunch of treasonous crooks, a bunch of bad, bad people who got caught. And I think they'll have to pay a very substantial price. When the plague arrived from China, we launched the largest national mobilization since World War II. We pioneered life-saving therapies, reducing the fatality rate 85% since April. You know, the question was asked to me, how well did we do on the pandemic? And I said, I give us an A to an A+. You look at the ventilators, you look at all we've done. We did a great job. We helped the governors. The governors are always very thankful. Then sometimes they'll get in front of a camera. They'll remember some of them are Democrats, right? But I said the only thing we did badly on was public relations because we were working so hard. We didn't think, I think, frankly, they're not going to cover it well no matter what. But we did a hell of a job. And they'd compare us to Europe, and we did very well. But now that Europe is exploding again, they don't want to talk about it, and neither do I, because I want Europe to heal. I want the whole world to heal. But we've done a hell of a job, except in public relations, and that's explaining it to people. On that, I give us a D. But we got an A+ in terms of what we've done through Operation Warp Speed. We will develop and distribute a vaccine in record time by the end of the year, and it could be sooner than that, but we have the greatest labs, the greatest companies of that kind in the world, and they are right there. They are right there. It's going to be incredible. So it's going to be a great vaccine. And we have Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, another one just announced today. These are great, great, great companies. On November 3rd, Virginia will decide whether we end the pandemic and return to record prosperity or whether we allow Joe Biden to kill the recovery, delay the vaccine, impose a $4 trillion tax hike on you. That's what he wants to do. Ban American energy. He wants to ban fracking. How about that? He wants to ban fracking. Then he lucks into the nomination. You know, he shouldn't have gotten it, because if Pocahontas left 2 days early, Bernie would have won, and we would have had Bernie. I don't know who I would have been better against. Maybe, who knows? But we would have had radical Bernie. But we're going to get a lot of Bernie votes like we did last time, because his people agree with us on trade, except we're better at it than he is. So we're going to get a lot of the Bernie votes. Boy, Bernie takes a hard shot, doesn't he? This is twice it happened. And he has such a nice attitude between him. And how about Bloomberg? Bloomberg gets absolutely decimated in the debate, right? Mini Mike. He gets decimated. And in order to get back with the Democrat Party, I'm going to put $100 million into Florida. If I were him, I'd just take a pass. He doesn't have to give us anything. We don't need his money. Just take a pass, you know? So he wants to buy his way into the Democrats. And so he's going down to Florida. But unfortunately, he did something that wasn't so good, right? He said, I'm going to pay off all these fines of the prisoners. There's only one problem. It's illegal. Now he's got himself a problem. Now he's got himself a bigger problem than he had when Pocahontas beat the hell out of him in the debate. Oh, that wasn't so easy, Mike. Remember, she was going point after point after point, and he thought she was talking about me. And so did I, actually. And then what happened? She said, and I'm not talking about President Trump, I'm talking about you. And he went, oh, my God. He's not a good guy, not a good guy. Stupid. To do that, stupid. You have to have some pride. You can't go. But the way they treated him so badly, you can't do that. But they're going to destroy the suburbs. You know, I keep hearing about suburban women like you, right? Suburban women. Well, I just ended a regulation that would have allowed projects in your... do you mind having a project next to your house? You're beautiful. You live in a beautiful house, right? Happily married, beautiful kids, everything perfect, the American dream, right? Do you mind having a project built next door? Yeah, she said she minds. You know who minds? Everybody minds. I just don't think anybody knows that we did this. I really don't. I don't think anybody knows. And they're going to change the zoning that allows them to build projects in the suburbs. So the guys came to me. I said, I want to end that. They came, sir, we're all set. We're going to really bring it back. I said, no, I didn't say bring it back. I said, I want it ended. Well, that's not so easy. I said, I want it ended. I don't want it. I don't want it. And we terminated it so you can live happily ever after if you vote for Trump. If you don't vote for Trump, you can forget it, because they will put it. You know who's in charge of it? Cory Booker, Senator Cory Booker. He's another beauty. He was Elizabeth. If you really take, you had Elizabeth Warren, you had Cory Booker. And you had Kamala. You know, if you pronounce her name wrong, she goes crazy. Kamala, like a comma. It's like a comma. She's like a comma. And, by the way, nobody treated Sleepy Joe worse than his vice presidential pick. I brilliantly said he'll never pick Kamala because he got called a racist. He got called xenophobic, which he didn't know what that meant. He got called all sorts of things, right? And so I said, no, obviously not going to be. He picked her. I couldn't believe it. But I think that's good. We like our Mike Pence. We like Mike Pence. And she's rated further left than Bernie Sanders. I thought he was the most left in the... He's not actually even in the party. He's sort of like an independent. Nobody ever used to say that, but he's like an independent. But she's rated further left than Crazy Bernie. And this is what you want? I don't think so. Just so you understand, and then she calls it the Harris administration. along with, it's like you're naming a movie, the producing credits, right? In the Harris administration, along with Vice President Biden. No. He's heading up the ticket. But then he said the same thing. He put her name first. I've never done that. I love Mike. But I've never said Mike Pence and Donald Trump. I always say Trump because you know what? You got to know that. You're the president. He doesn't know that he's in first position. He doesn't know it. He doesn't know it. He forgot. Hey, look, you're entitled to a mistake every once in a while. It was strange that they did it almost in the same hour, though, right? It was like one on top of another. Give free health care. They want to give free health care to illegal aliens and indoctrinate your children with poisonous anti-American lies in school. We don't like that. To combat the toxic left, and you see what it is. It's toxic. Left-wing propaganda in our schools. I announced last week that we are launching a new pro-American lesson plan for students called the 1776 Commission. We will teach our children the truth about America, that we are the most exceptional nation on the face of the earth, and we're getting better all the time. And we're joined tonight by a friend of ours, a warrior, Congressman Rob Whitman. Thanks, Rob. Good guy. Virginia Republican Party Chair, Rich Anderson. Good job. How are we doing? Am I making the right move? I'm not wasting my time here, Rich. I got to ask him. Rich, what do you think? I think so, right? I think so. And congressional candidates, Nick Freitas. Good. Oh, look at him. We had a call the other day, a very successful call, right? Great call. Thanks, Nick. And a real warrior, a real hero, Scott Taylor. Scott. Those are two very important races, and I think you're going to win them. I saw some good polling. We're taking over the House from Crazy Nancy. We're going to have it. And I think those two guys, I think they're going to win. Also, somebody that I have heard incredible things about, the Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate, Daniel Gade. Daniel Gade. He's a good-looking guy. And I'll tell you, he's got to beat his opponent because he is just Warner. Warner was, you know, he was talking about Russia, right? Trump and Russia. Then he gets scammed by a guy with the greatest Russian accent. You remember that, right? I have pictures of President Trump. Oh, really? Where? What are they like? Are they nude pictures? Yes. Does Vladimir know? Yes. So he's talking to this guy. Got scammed, okay? It was a comedian or something. It was a comedian. He's allowed to talk to Russians. If I talk to a Russian, it's a terrible thing. By the way, you know, getting along with Russia is not the worst thing in the world. Does that make sense? Getting along with North Korea, Kim Jong-un, everyone said, oh, he's getting along. He's giving so much. I said, what did you give? They couldn't tell me anything. You know what I gave? Sanctions. That's what I gave. But you know what? We get along. You would have been in a war right now. Would have been a nuclear war. You would have been in a war right now with North Korea if it wasn't for me. Hillary Clinton didn't have a clue. Obama didn't have a clue. Obama told me when I sat with him, the one time I sat with him, what's your biggest problem, North Korea? I said, how big? He said, it's a big problem. And he was indicating like it was war. I said, have you tried calling him? Have you tried? Have you given it a little shot? You know, instead of losing 10 million people, they used to say 50,000 people could be killed. No, 20 million people could be killed, okay? 20 million. Seoul is right next to, you know, right near the border. It would be too bad, but we have a good relationship. I get criticized because I have relationships with these people, and that's a positive thing. We have to remember that's a positive thing. And I had a very good relationship in China with President Xi, but you know what? This pandemic has just... We made a great trade deal, but it just doesn't mean the same to me. Does that make any sense? It doesn't mean the same to me. It doesn't mean the same to me. Last week, 2 weeks ago, they had the largest order of corn to our farmers in our history. They had the largest order of soybeans. They had this massive order of beef. But you know what? It just doesn't mean as much to me now as it did at one point. The ink wasn't even dry on the trade deal, and this thing came in and they could have stopped it. We're also deeply moved to be joined by two Gold Star spouses, two incredible people. Karen Owens was a guest at my first address to Congress as we honored the supreme sacrifice of her husband, fallen Navy SEAL Ryan Owens. Where's Karen? Go on. Come on up here. Come up. And we're also joined with Brittany Jacobs and her family. You know Brittany. On Memorial Day in 2017, I met Brittany and her son Christian at Arlington National Cemetery, and we honored the memory of her incredible husband and Christian's dad, Marine Sergeant Christopher Jacobs. We took a picture together, that little boy who's no longer a little boy. Come on over here. Come on over here. The both of you. Come on. The both. Come on. I said, how's your beautiful, handsome boy? She said, really good, but he wants to go back to school. Let's go. Open up the schools. Open up the schools, Governor. We'll get them open. But we thank God every day for our courageous warriors, and we'll always support our incredible Gold Star families, and we want to thank both of you. It's incredible. Thank you. And we'll get you back to school soon, all right? Get them back. Come on, Governor. Let's go. You got other things to do. These people, you know, they're keeping the states closed because they think it's going to be harmful on November 3rd. And it's not really, it's not going to have too much of an impact. What it's doing is hurting a lot of people, though. It's hurting a lot of people. In everything we do, we are putting America first. We've spent the last 4 years reversing the terrible damage Joe Biden and his friends inflicted on this country over the last 47 years. I love it when he says, we could have done this, we should have done that. The guy's been here forever. 47 years, hard to believe, right? And that was in prime time, although he never had super prime time, but that was in prime time, remember? And this time, and now I got him here. Together we've taken on a corrupt and broken system that's been throwing everything at us from the very beginning. A new trove of documents, and you have to go home. You got to read these documents. And they now prove that Russia interfered in 2016. Unfortunately, it was on behalf of Hillary Clinton, not Trump. They interfered, disinformation. Newly released text messages make 100% clear the FBI knew that Democrats purchased Russian disinformation targeting me, your favorite president, which then formed the basis for the witch hunt. And I'll tell you, we've had some incredible strength in terms of people like Sean Hannity, the great Lou Dobbs. Don't think of it. Laura, Tucker. Tucker's been great the last period of time. Fox and Friends. Janine. I'll tell you. Jesse, how about Jesse, huh? Hey, Greg Gutfeld was bad to me. Now he's great to me. He said, hey, would you rather have a nice guy that doesn't do anything or a horrible human being like Trump that gets it done? They all say, I'd rather have the horrible human. I'm not a horrible human. I'm a nicer guy. I always get very offended when they say about, like, well, Maybe people don't like him, but he gets everything done. I think people like me, but I do get it done. That's for sure. Done more than any administration ever in 3.5 years, first 3.5 years. That's so nice. I'll tell you, that is so nice. That is so nice. The first you talk about the seating, don't worry about the justice will get her seat. Don't worry about that. And that's nice. But you know, they say, these people said they've never heard a political campaign where a big audience says, we love Trump or the candidate. I've never heard it. I've never heard it. It's true. I've never heard it for Ronald Reagan, and I like Ronald Reagan, but I've never heard it. And they've never heard it. Nobody's ever heard it. Who says that? But I love you too. I really do. I do. And we're getting it done. No, they've never heard that chant. I've never heard it. And it started about 2 weeks ago. I've never heard it even before. But again, before... I want to thank you. It's really nice. It's really nice. And we've got to go out and we've got to really work hard. And we've got to watch this ballot scam because they're scamming us, okay? They're scamming us. And then they say, he doesn't want to turn over government. Of course they do. But it's got to be a fair election. You know, see, that's another scam. They don't mention anything about ballots. I say, got to be a fair election. When they're losing ballots all over the place. When they're losing ballots, it just happened to be Trump ballots. You know, in Virginia, did you hear? In a very Democrat area, they sent 2 ballots to thousands of people, 1,000 or thousands of people. It just came out over the wires. So people in a Democrat area got 2 ballots instead of 1. They had 8 ballots in a waste paper basket, military ballots that all were for Trump. Everyone was for Trump. And they were in a waste paper basket. They were thrown away and somebody saw them. Then they had many, many ballots thrown into a river someplace. I don't even know the state. These are just a few of them. And then go back earlier. Go back to the Democrat primaries. Go back to the great state, Iowa. I love Iowa. We're going to win Iowa big, 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 big. We won it last time by 11 points. We're going to win it big with ethanol, what I've done for them, with the $28 billion for the farmers. And that includes you. That includes tobacco. That includes a lot of things. But that includes your farmers. But you go back to their primaries, right? Go back to the primary, the Iowa, the first primary. It was done with ballots. They have no idea. Remember the disaster? And that's a small primary. Now they're talking about tens of millions of these fake ballots going all over the place. Who's sending them? Where are they being sent? Who's sending them back? Supposing they don't get them. Are they being sent to Democrat areas? And they're all run by Democrat governors, right? All of them, 100%. It's 100%. So you have a guy in Nevada. He just comes up with the idea. I think we're going to win Nevada. If fairly, we're going to win it. But he comes up, well, you don't have to have your signature verified. Oh, that's nice. That's good. He decided, let's not do that. But you know a real big problem? I like watching television and have the winner is, right? You might not hear it for months because this is a mess. Go back and study what happened in Iowa. Take a look. Take a look at what happened in New York in a small congressional race. Carolyn Maloney. She should have lost the race, in my opinion. They gave it to her because it was a crooked deal. The guy that she ran against was having fits. He said, what are you doing? What are you doing? Everything was mixed up. The ballots were lost. There was fraud. There was everything. Go into Paterson, New Jersey. These are just recently. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And the only one that knows it better than we do are the Democrats. They know this is going to happen. They want it to happen because they want to go through a court system. And instead, you're not going to hear, very unlikely that you're going to hear winner that night. I could be leading, and then they'll just keep getting ballots and ballots and ballots and ballots because now they're saying that the ballots can come in late. Well, what does that mean? And more importantly, they're going to be given, in some cases, a week or 2 weeks to count the ballots. So if we're waiting for one state, now think of it. If we're waiting, and they're talking about 5, 6, 7 states that have this problem. So if we're waiting for one state, does that mean the whole nation, the whole world is going to wait for one state? I won't use any names, but you have Pennsylvania, where you have a Democrat who, by the way, lost the case last week. We sued. We want him to open up his state, and we won on constitutional grounds. North Carolina, they have the state all locked up. So we're talking about, these are the governors that run their states for Democrats. They really do. I mean, they run them. They're Democrat governors, and they're in charge of the count. We went to Nevada to make a speech. We had 5 different sites. The governor made it impossible, so we ended up at a different site. We had to get one this is the guy that's in charge of ballots. He was a political hack. Now he's the governor. And this guy is in charge of ballots. It's not going to work. It's going to be a disaster. And I want a smooth, beautiful transition, but they don't add the other part. But it's got to be an honest vote. And everybody knows. Just go back again. Look at Iowa. Look what happened. Just take a look at that. They still don't know who won. They didn't know weeks later. Remember, New Hampshire went. New Hampshire declared a winner. And essentially, they don't know what happened in Iowa. Except the difference is we're doing the same thing, but with tens of millions of ballots. This is a disaster waiting to happen, and they shouldn't let this system go. If you ask for a ballot, it's called solicited. You solicit. You want the ballot, it comes in, you sign it, you send it back. That's okay. But where they send millions and millions of unsolicited ballots, people get ballots they didn't even know they were getting them. Sign it, sign it. Then there are people going around getting it to sign. You know, when you have that, you don't need it. We have much more enthusiasm. We're so high up on enthusiasm, right? But it's very unfair, because when you have somebody go knock on your door, sign, it's called harvesting. They're going to harvest ballots, even though in some cases, in most cases, it's illegal. It's illegal as hell, and it should be illegal. So this is a disaster waiting to happen, and the only hope we have, really, other than going through a long, unbelievable litigation at the end after it's over, because we're going to win. We're not going to lose this except if they cheat. That's the way I look at it. We can't let them cheat. We can't let them. It's too much. Our country is at stake, and it's true. Our country is at stake because these people will destroy our country. We can't let this happen. And this is a scam. They know it. The media knows it, but the media doesn't want to cover it. They know exactly what's going to happen, and so do I. But the Democrats know better than all of us what's going to happen. So we can't let it, and if you see anything, you just have to report it and everything. We're all watching. Law enforcement's watching all over the place, but it's very hard to watch. You know, millions of ballots, very hard to watch. And the only way that's the only way we're going to lose is if there's mischief, and it'll have to be on a big scale. So be careful. And we do want a very friendly transition, but we don't want to be cheated and be stupid and say, oh, let's transit. We'll go and we'll do a transition. And we know that there were thousands and thousands of ballots that made the difference through cheating. We're not going to stand for it. We're not going to stand for it. So just remember, keep your eyes open. For decades, our opponents spent trillions of dollars rebuilding other countries. And now we're finally rebuilding our country. We invested $2.5 trillion in the U.S. military, all made in the USA. We launched the first new branch of the armed forces. Think of that. Since the Air Force 75 years ago, it's called Space Force. It's a big deal. See, that alone would be a big deal for, honestly, that alone would be a very big deal for a administration. We did, think of it, we now have a 6th branch of the United States Armed Forces. That's a big deal. But we did so much more, so much more. I mean, think of it. It's incredible. You know, we did probably the most. We'll have maybe even more than 300 federal judges, including Court of Appeals. And now we're going to have 3 Supreme Court judges. Their minds are blowing. Their minds. You know, you've had many presidents, never had 1 Supreme Court judge. We're going to have 3. Of all people, and that's a record, of all people, to get 3 Supreme Court justices in one administration, in one term, they are going crazy. They're saying, darling, tell me this is not happening, but you'll see it tomorrow at 5 o'clock. With the help of the incredible workers of Newport News and Norfolk Naval Shipyard, we will build 355. We're going to have a Navy again of 355 ships. That's what we need. That's been depleted. And they're already being built. We've got a few big ones, beauties being built, including aircraft carriers. Biden will slash military funding and shipbuilding will be shut down. It's going to be shut down like it used to be. We killed the founder and leader of ISIS, al-Baghdadi. We took out the world's #1 terrorist and mass murderer, Soleimani. I withdrew from last administration's disastrous Iran nuclear catastrophe. What a deal that was. $150 billion, $1.8 billion in cash. You ever see what $1.8 billion in cash? It's plane loads. These guys over there, they must have said, what the hell is this? They never saw money like that. We paid it. You know what we got for it? Nothing. Nothing. I kept my promise, recognized the true capital of Israel, and opened the American embassy in Jerusalem. I also recognized Israeli sovereignty over the Golan Heights. They've been working on that for 52 years. I got it done quickly. And instead of endless wars, we are forging peace in the Middle East. We even got nominated, right? You know what for? That's right. I hate to talk about it, but I have to because the press doesn't talk about it. No, it was a great honor. It was a great honor. Twice, you know that, right? Twice. The press doesn't talk about it. The Nobel Peace Prize, right? Two for different things. For Kosovo and Serbia, we stopped them from killing each other. It was very nice. And they don't have to kill each other. They've been killing each other for a long time. Kosovo, Serbia, it was great. It was great. And we got a nomination for Israel. And you look at Bahrain, UAE. That's just the beginning. We have them lined up that want to go into that. Well, peace in the Middle East without blood all over the sand. And I told you, you heard the story. I went home. I said, First Lady, I'm going to get the greatest stories tonight. I just got nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize, First Lady. For Israel, everybody said it couldn't be done. And they were right. It couldn't be done the way they were doing it. You would have never gotten it done. The way John Kerry was doing it, you would have never gotten it done. As a guy doesn't have a clue, incompetent. But you know what? I said, First Lady, wait till you see this. It's going to be unbelievable. And we watched Lester Holt. I don't even know why. And we had one story after another after another. And after 7 stories, I said, First Lady, this is getting a little embarrassing. And they never mentioned it, nor did any other of the newscasts. Fake CNN didn't mention it. MSDNC didn't mention it. ABC, CBS, nobody mentioned it. So I was very embarrassed. 3 days later, I got nominated again. And I said, my great First Lady, we got another shot at it, darling. Let's watch the news tonight. 1 story, 2 stories, 3 stories, 4 stories, 5 stories. We got to the end, it wasn't mentioned again. And when Barack Hussein Obama was nominated, it was, and he didn't know what he got it for. He still doesn't. He doesn't know what he got it for. So we have a little double standard going, but that's okay. As long as we know. Sometimes I'll be talking that way and I'll look around, I'll say, oh, I'm in the Oval Office. How did that happen? I said, you know, with all the complaining, we're in the Oval Office and they're not, right? And if you don't mind, let's keep it that way so we can keep this going. We've achieved more in 47 months than Joe Biden has achieved in 47 years. It's true. Biden, without even knowing it, is pushing the most far-left platform in history. The Biden plan would destroy Social Security and destroy protection for people with pre-existing conditions. He would terminate our travel bans in jihadist regions. You know, I got the travel ban. Remember, everyone said you couldn't do that. I want a travel ban from people that want to blow up our country. Do you think that's okay? People said, oh, we don't like that. Took a little heat and we got it. They said I didn't get it and they were right. We lost at one court, lost at the second, then we won in the Supreme Court. They don't say that. But we have a strong travel ban. And we will use it. We do use it. We use it plenty. And increase refugee admissions. They want to increase refugee admissions 700%, opening the floodgates for radical Islamic terrorism. They want to ban school choice in charter schools. In the second term, I will provide school choice to every parent in America. Every parent. A vote for Republicans is a vote for safe communities, great jobs, and a limitless future for all Americans. It's so true. And in conclusion, I love you people, but I've been doing this since early in the morning. I'm getting the hell out of here. I would only do this for you. I got a guy, he stays in his damn basement all day long, and I'm doing this. I don't know. If he wins, I'm going to be very embarrassed. I'll say, gee, I worked so hard, and he didn't work at all. No, we're going to win. I think we're going to win. I think we're going to win big. I think we're going to win bigger than anyone understands. I think there's a vote out there. There's a hidden vote out there. The pollsters are fake. They're controlled by the same people that write the bad stories, the fake stories. Over the next 4 years, we will make America into the manufacturing superpower of the world. And we will end our reliance on China once and for all. We will hire more police, increase penalties for assaults on law enforcement, and we will ban deadly sanctuary cities. Ban them. We will uphold religious liberty, free speech, and the right to keep and bear arms, Virginia. We will strike down terrorists who threaten our citizens, and we will keep America out of the ridiculous, horrible, endless foreign wars, countries that you've never even heard of. You will keep you out of them. And by the way, we have weapons, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before. We have a level of a degree of which nobody from Russia to China to North Korea, nobody's ever seen what we built. And just hope to God we never have to use them, but we have never had anything like the arsenal that we built over the last 3 years. Hope to God we never have to use them. We're the envy of the world in that way. We have the greatest people for building. There's nobody can do what we can do. There's nobody. But when I came in, your military was totally depleted. You had old planes. You had old everything. We have now the F-35s, and we have things, the bombers, the new bombers, the tankers, the ships that we're building, some right here, Newport News. You know? But we have built an arsenal, the likes of which the world has never seen. And you know what? That will make it a lot easier for us not to have to use them. That's really what we need. We needed it. We were in bad shape. We were in bad shape. We will maintain America's unrivaled military might, and we will ensure peace through strength. And that's what we've done. We will end surprise medical billing, require price transparency, and further reduce health insurance. You know, the health insurance is a disaster, and we are bringing the price of health insurance way down, premiums and costs of prescription drugs. We're instituting favored nations. We pay the highest in the world for drugs. I negotiated with Big Pharma, and I just got tired of negotiating. I said, I'm sorry, we're instituting favored nations. We're the largest purchaser of prescription drugs by far in the world, and I instituted what we call a favored nations clause, where we will pay the same price as the nation that pays the lowest price in the world. In addition to that, I instituted a rebate clause where we get the rebates instead of the middlemen. These are the richest people I don't know who the hell they are, but the middlemen they're very rich, and they're not liking me too much. And you're going to see a lot of bad ads from Big Pharma. They've already started. Just remember, every time you see one of those ads, that means your drug prices are coming way down. And I mean by 50, 60, 70, and 80%. We'll strongly protect Medicare and Social Security. We will always protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Always, always. America will land the first woman on the moon, and the United States will be the first nation to land an astronaut on Mars. It happened quickly. And we've taken NASA from fairways, you have to see, they had fairways along like a golf course. It was a better golf course than it was a runway. And what we've done, we've taken all the grass out. It was grass growing right through the cracks. It was a disgrace. And we've now made it the #1 space center in the world by far again. You got to see this. They were playing golf. They were playing golf. It was all closed up, or essentially closed up. It was actually worse than closed up. You know what? It was sort of open, but nobody was doing anything. They had nothing to do. We had the greatest scientists in the world, and we're letting rich guys send up rockets. We like it. Somehow rich people like to send rockets up. We say, just pay us a nice rent and have a lot of fun sending your rockets up. But NASA's now #1 in the world again by far, and there's no contest. And all that grass is gone. We will stop the radical indoctrination of our students and restore patriotic education to our schools. We will teach our children to love our country, honor our history, and always respect our great American flag. Are you listening, NFL? Are you listening, NFL? And we will live by the timeless words of our national motto, "In God we trust." For years, you had a president who apologized for America. Now you have a president who is standing up for America and standing up for the great people of Virginia and North Carolina. So get your friends, get your family, get your neighbors, get your co-workers, and get out and vote. There's never been a more important election than this election. Early voting has already begun. Do not wait. Go out and vote. From Richmond to Roanoke, from Fredericksburg to Williamsburg, and from Norfolk to right here in Newport News. We stand on the shoulders of Virginia patriots who gave their blood, sweat, and tears for this beloved nation. Virginia is the place that gave us George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, James Monroe. Now, you know, I signed a little document, 10 years in prison if you knock down a statue or a monument. It's amazing how you haven't seen any of that lately. They were having a little fun, and now they were heading toward the Jefferson Memorial. I said, wait a minute. And I predicted that. They were knocking down statues. A lot of people didn't know exactly which one. I said, you better stop it. Because the next thing you know, they'll knock down the statue of Robert E. Lee, and they did. I said, you better stop it, or they'll be going after Thomas Jefferson and Washington and Abe Lincoln. And they started. And I said, what are we going to do here? I have some good people. They said, you know, because today in Congress, you can't get anything done. They'd give you one day in a very nice hotel. So I said, what are we going to do? They said, we'll take out an old law and you can reinstitute it with an executive order. I said, what does it say? 10 years in prison, not jail. They used the word prison. I said, for what? You knock down a monument or a statue, you go to jail for 10 years. I said, give me that thing, get it to my office immediately. And I signed it. And they were coming down to Washington. They were going to knock down 2 particular statues that were really beautiful. And I signed it, and we announced it, had a news conference, got to let people know about it, right? And the 20,000 person march turned out to be about 3 people. And 2 of them were arrested, actually, because we have, thanks to the fake news, we have a lot of footage of people standing on the statue of Jackson, Andrew Jackson. Remember, they almost had the ropes. We sent in the police. The police did a great job, by the way. Remember, they had the ropes. They were ready to pull it down. And we said, charge. And they charged. And I want to tell you, they did a hell of a job. They were much tougher than the people with the ropes. It took them about 2 minutes, and that was the end of the ropes. But it was close. They got there just in time. But you know what? Since I signed that, there's been no statues, no monuments that have been played with. Huh? Federal. States have to do the same thing for their states. Virginia heroes made America into the single greatest nation in the history of the world, and the best is yet to come. Proud citizens like you helped build this country, and together we are taking back our country. We are returning power to you, the American people. With your help, your devotion, and your drive, we are going to keep on working, we are going to keep on fighting, and we are going to keep on winning. We're gonna win. We're one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. And together with the incredible people of Virginia and North Carolina, we will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, Virginia. Thank you. Get out and vote. Thank you.